Emotions that we end up disassociating from and numbing out from lead to chronic illness, chronic pain, and chronic autoimmune conditions. That's why it's so important that we take the time to be present with our emotions and to move them through our body. In this video, we're going to be talking about 3 key principles to releasing negative emotions through your body. What's up, everyone? My name is Lizzie. I'm the creator of Empower Body, Mind, Soul, Ritual Fitness, and Somatic Self-Care for paradigm shifting women. As paradigm shifting women, we are not here to recreate from our past trauma. We are not here to be victims of our emotions. And we are living in a culture that sort of demonizes our emotions. Most of us grew up in households that didn't really want to hear or feel our emotional upsets. I know that I heard a lot of times, oh no, here come the waterworks. We grew up in environments that didn't support us to heal and feel and process our emotions. And then we're living in this consumer-driven culture where there's not a lot of time to feel and process our emotions. We are not productive consumers and producers when we are in sadness, when we are in fear. So part of the work that we are doing here is unraveling ourselves from these cultural norms so that we can better support ourselves and become freer as conscious creators of our lives and of our world. So number 1 is releasing shame around our experience. Look, every single one of us has negative emotions. Shame is not a productive emotion. It'll most oftentimes isolate us and paralyze us from moving forward, right? When we feel negative emotion in our body, we put the shame on top of it, right? That sends a signal up to our brain that we are not good enough, that we are bad, and then that just perpetuates and sends more signals down to our body to perpetuate that grief or that anxiety or whatever that emotion is. So shame is the surest way to keep ourselves stuck in that emotion. Okay, so first thing, we want to meet these emotions with love and with care. Imagine you are a little child trying to learn to ride a bike and you fall off that bike. Would you want your caregiver to shame you for crying? No, right? That would be completely inappropriate. We need to hold ourselves and meet ourselves with this motherly, compassionate, curious energy first and foremost. That's what's gonna open the doorway. Unless we love something, it won't reveal itself to us. Oh, honey, I feel that you are experiencing sadness, fear, right? We want to kind of imagine that divine mother part of ourselves scooping up that scared, sad little inner child and bringing her close. The next key is understanding that our emotions are connected to our nervous system. Unless we really truly understand our nervous system and our nervous system states, we're gonna feel a lot of confusion around our emotional experience. So it's really important that we educate ourselves and we understand this most primal part of our being. I recommend taking the Map Your Nervous System class inside the online studio, as well as when you sign up, you get a one-on-one session with me to help you map and understand your nervous system state. What does it sound like and feel like for you to be in each one of these states? When we understand this, we can just kind of look at it more neutrally. It can help us with number 1, which is meeting ourselves without shame and with just a pure sense of curiosity and compassion. We all, as animals, cycle through all of these nervous system states. And so it's not something to judge or push away or numb out from or feel shame around, okay? So looking through the lens of the nervous system, educating ourselves about the nervous system states is so crucial to this process, and to know which exercises are going to most effectively support us for where we're at. Because beyond loving ourselves and meeting ourselves in compassion, the next thing that we apply is going to vary depending on that nervous system state and that emotional experience. Number 3 is meeting that frequency of your emotion before you try to fix it, change it, alchemize it, coach it. None of us want to be coached before we are held and actually felt, right? Most often, like as children and as just like beings in a relationship, we don't want to be fixed, we don't want to be coached, we just want to be felt, right? And that is what our emotions are calling for as well. If we are feeling anxiety, we want to actually attune with that anxiety first before we attempt to bring ourselves down into a state of calm. Same thing with anger. We might need to go into that anger to let that anger actually be felt through our body before we try to calm ourselves down. If we are experiencing grief, sadness, we need to actually vibrate that feeling first, tune with that first, before we try to boost our mood, activate our nervous system, bring more energy in and up. This may sound a little cryptic. We're gonna get more into the specifics in each of the videos inside of this series, and we're going to hone in on different emotional and nervous system states so that we can better identify which tools to use for which experience. Okay, but number 3 that I really want to bring home is that we need to meet our experience first before we try to coach it. We actually have to let ourselves feel it. Like we actually have to go there. We are living in a medicated culture, and we just want to take the Advil or whatever, the antidepressant, not knocking any of these things. We just want to get over it, right? And even this video, right? Release negative emotions. We're so obsessed with the releasing part that this can have a tendency to be just like wanting to distance ourselves and push our experience away, which is actually counterproductive. So we really want to embrace and be willing to move towards that experience instead of away from it. If a baby, right, which babies just have the same nervous systems that we have, right, even though we are grown. So if a baby is really freaking distressed, it would almost feel like gaslighting if we were just like, just shh, right? Now, if she was a little bit distressed, that shh could work, right? But if she's mega distressed, flipping out, right, really feeling unsafe, we might actually meet her in that intensity first and then go into those shh and help her settle. But we would actually meet her frequency first, that intensity, and then bring it down, okay? So we have to be willing to go there. And this may be challenging, especially if we haven't practiced this at all, if we have a lifetime of running away from our emotions. So titration is important. Titration just means a little bit at a time. So we may go into that experience, even just for 30 seconds, and let ourselves feel it. And then we may come back out into our space, into a good feeling thought, into a little snuggle with a pet, and then go back into that experience a little bit more. And at first, just a little bit is all that we can do. But over time, we're able to sit and stay with that experience longer. And then we actually have to spend less time overall being stuck in that emotion. We're able to actually release and free ourselves from that experience more fully so that we can go on living our life, not from that locked in state of these negative emotions. Massage and stretching are good examples of how moving towards that pain is actually productive. In a massage, we would go towards that knot, right? That tension. We would breathe into it. We're bringing blood, oxygen, presence to that place. We're not just laying on it for a long, long time. No, we're going in there. We're breathing into that tension. And then we're kind of expanding and opening and letting it rest and ride. And then we'll go in again, right? Getting into that tension, right? So I want you to just notice that pattern and that principle, right? And as we stretch, like the first time somebody stretches, they might think that they're dying. Like it might suck, it might really hurt. But through that stretching, we take a little time in that stretch, we connect to our breath, and then we open up and relax from that stretch, and there's freedom and there's openness that we created. Okay, so we want to bring this awareness of going towards the pain as a portal to our freedom. We want to bring this into our practice of holding space for our emotions. It's the same thing. It's just that we haven't really practiced that. We haven't really built the muscle of being comfortable in that discomfort long enough to experience the freedom on the other side. Our physical pain is almost always connected to some sort of emotional pain or emotional experience. So we don't even actually have to understand logically, mentally, what our emotion is about. Why are we sad? We don't have to have a full cognitive understanding of it. We can actually just go into where we feel it physically and work with that. Being curious, connecting to that pain, to the sensation, to the sounds, colors, shape, the edges of that sensation. And we just literally are bringing our love and our presence and our willingness to just attune and to feel it towards that pain. This is so much of what we need, of what children need from us as parents, what we still need from ourselves. We're learning how to be conscious parents to those painful parts within us. So we can work at a level of the body without knowing cognitively what's actually going on. We can work through self-myofascial release with foam rollers, with balls, with just our hands, with just our presence and a little bit of movement. We can just start to go into our places of pain and to just be with them and to really deeply listen for what they are asking for. This is a hard thing to teach. It's not necessarily a step-by-step process. This may sound a little cryptic, and we're going to go into a little bit more specifics in the next few videos, but really what we're doing here is creating a safe container for us to go into those deeper layers of sensation, touching into our pain, and then tapping into our body's innate organic impulse of what it knows how to do. Our bodies know how to release stress and pain. If you've ever seen a video of a prey animal that nearly almost gets attacked and captured by a predator, they will shake and they will release that stress and that cortisol through their body, and then they will pee it out through their urine, and then they will go on with their lives, right? Without having the need for the therapy, the need for, all the painkillers and medications to deal with their chronic pain, chronic illness, mental health conditions, autoimmune conditions, right? Because they're letting it flow through their body, right? So as we go in to hold space for our emotions and for our pain, it's just important that we follow the wisdom of our body. This can express itself through shaking, through sounds, through breath. Sometimes we might burp or fart to release emotions. And most of the time, it's going to happen through tears. Tears are the body's most exquisite and wise way of releasing cortisol through the body. And now, if we grew up in houses that didn't support our tears, right, then we may have to heal our relationship with letting ourselves cry, right? How often do we say, oh, I'm sorry, right, when those tears start to flow? But those tears and even that snot, like we release our negative emotion in all of these like liquids. So we want to welcome them. We want to transform any shame that we have about what our body is actually doing and what it should look like, so that we can just allow the innate wisdom of the body to flow through. Okay, so we're going to go a little deeper for specific emotional experiences. So stay tuned for the next video. We're going to cover anxiety first, because anxiety is the first line of defense when we are scared and when we experience nervous system dysregulation. Okay, so we're going to go a little deeper, and I'm going to offer you specific somatic exercises to engage for the experience of anxiety. But remember that this instruction can only take you so far. This instruction is designed to create the conditions necessary for you to effectively tap into your own body's communication and to follow and trust that more than anything else. So I'll see you in the next video, where we are going to explore specific exercises for releasing anxiety.